This is a relatively comprehensive analysis of the short story Black Dog by Penelope Lively. We will start by introducing the short story, going through its setting, briefly through plot, then characters, a bit more advanced stuff like point of view and tone of the story, and theme. And then we will take a quick look at the end of the story. After having gone through this lecture, you should be able to discuss it to some extent. Black Dog is a short story written by Penelope Lively in 1988. And briefly said, it's about a woman who starts seeing a ghost, then in the form of a black dog. The story is set in a chronological order. It takes mostly place in the home of Brenda and John Case, but also at the doctor's office once. Brenda and John seem to live in a relatively modern time, since they both have a TV, a video and a stereo. But maybe not too modern, because they don't have internet, etc. The story is about a 54-year-old woman who is having some major trouble. She is seeing a black ghost dog. But we don't know whether it is a real ghost or if she has a mental disorder and therefore imagines the dog. Brenda says that she supposes the dog will eat her. This strengthens the possibility of the dog simply being a hallucination. Because how could Brenda know that a ghost would want to eat her? It must be her imagination. The conflict of the story might be formulated like this. Will the black dog, be it a ghost or not, disappear? If it's not a ghost but Brenda's imagination, will she at some point stop hallucinating and become normal again? How can her problem be solved? Jump into characters. Brenda Case. She is a 50-plus-year-old, seemingly intelligent and kind woman, but either she is mentally disturbed or she is haunted by a real ghost. Brenda changes during the course of the story. At the end of the story, she seems to be happier, light-hearted and cheerful, and her problem is resolved. Her husband, John Case, we are not given so much information about. He also seems like a relatively normal and kind man, but he works a lot and is often away from the house. Brenda stays mostly at home. Her daughters believe that she should get out some more and do stuff, get a life or get her life back. Maybe she could do some aerobics, they say, or take a French course or something. The daughters see her as a bit reserved or a bit weird because she seldom leaves the house. Most people will probably become somewhat crazy by being alone in a big house day in and day out, having not really much to do. And the daughters think that this might be the reason she's hallucinating, seeing this black dog. So the daughters are somewhat reasonable, but they have little time to sit down with her and help their mother, talk to her, keep her company. Instead of helping her directly, they send her away to a doctor. And this doctor seems to think Brenda is somewhat crazy, and instead of offering her psychological treatment, giving her somebody to talk to, like a psychologist, instead of doing that, he gives her medication. Point of view. The characters are described mostly from the outside. We know something of what they are thinking. So, arguably, there is a third-person omniscient point of view. Omniscient means that it's all-knowing. We can know what they are thinking about. We see the beginning of this story through John Case, but after a while we start seeing things through Brenda. I'm going to say a bit about tone of the story, even though it's not obligatory. The mood in the story is such that you can almost feel it. You can sense that the daughters and the husband are feeling angry and confused about Brenda. At the same time, we get the feeling that the husband is too busy to really care for Brenda, to ask about her feelings, to talk to her. And there is something strange going on with the way the writer Lively describes the daughter's entrance. The half sentence, "the daughters came," is used 4 times in the story, at the beginning of 4 different paragraphs. It is almost like Brenda is visited by royals, by princesses, who don't really care so much about their mother and expect to be at the center of attention themselves. They treat her rather in a distant way. It's almost like you want to clap Brenda on her shoulder, telling her that everything will be all right. It is understandable that Brenda feels alone in their big house, living so much in isolation, without her children there, without as much as even a pet. And we feel like Brenda is in some sort of a prison. This story is both a psychological thriller and a ghost story. Theme, moving on to almost the last aspect of this analysis. The writer might have felt that we live in a cold society where many people are lonely and isolated, so she wants us to take more care of each other. Simply handing out a pill is not showing that one cares. We should talk to each other and especially take good care of our family, of our mothers. Then it's the theme of menopause, that age when ladies no longer menstruate and are no longer capable of giving birth to children. Men experience something similar to this. This is the transition age, the midlife, where you slowly go from being fertile into turning into an old person. Many people experience a midlife crisis. For some, this is harder than for others. Psychologically seen, some people really struggle with this. The theme can also be seen from a feminist point of view. The doctor is not really interested in Brenda, so he gives her a pill so that she will be easier for her husband to deal with. However, Brenda fixes her problem without any help. She is the suppressed housewife who takes control over her life. So we are dealing with a female heroine. Finally, I'd like to say a bit about the ending. The episode with John at the end is strange. Did he, at the moment, lose his mind too? Or was there really a ghost after all? Why is the ending so ambiguous, so open? What happens after this? When we thought we had found the explanation, which was that this dog was surely a mad woman's hallucination, then her husband starts seeing the dog as well. A very surprising ending, which is rather common in ghost or horror stories, where the ghost or monster might endure and go on to scare others. So the story starts off as a ghost story, continues as a psychological thriller, and then ends as a ghost story.